Get Sweaty with Leddy, a wellness program about pain management. Hello and welcome to a late summer edition episode of Get Sweaty with Leddy. Today's guest is my neighbor and good friend who is the definition of perseverance when it comes to professional sports. So I'm excited to sit up here on the bench with the one and only Joseph LaBate. I'm super excited to sit here with Joseph LaBate. We've had many sweats together, but never sweated it out on Get Sweaty. So it's a true pleasure. And you know, you've got an amazing career that you're going into, just probably the most exciting season of your career, I'd almost say, at least, you know, from my perspective, with your amazing story. And, you know, throughout it all, I like to ask people that are sitting next to me here, you know, Joseph, like, what brings you into pain?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say number one thing is hockey in my career, and just the ups and downs of pro sports and what it's taught me. And yeah, man, it's been a journey and a lot of pain.
I would imagine so. Like, when, you know, obviously you've been a hockey player your whole entire life, but was ever there a moment, or when was the first time that you were introduced to pain in the form of an injury or even just, you know, mental struggles with you know, the trials and tribulations of being at the highest level in the world?
I'd say my first injury came at, I was a peewee, and it was actually practice, and somehow the drill got mixed up and I skated directly into one of my teammates and did like a somersault forward, landed on my shoulder, broke my collarbone, and that was my first like serious injury that happened. And you know, I had to watch my teammates play hockey, and it was tough. You know, you're just by yourself, not being able to do the thing that you love to do as a kid. So that was definitely my first injury.
Yeah, you're probably thinking, you're at a young age, you're like, all right, this is great, you know, I'm loving hockey, and then you just get this little setback. I mean, I know what that's like. From tearing my ACL when I was 13, but, you know, breaking your collarbone when you're trying to hit people, I would imagine that was a bit intimidating when you get healed, and then you're trying to check somebody, and you're like, man, am I going to just break my collarbone again?
Oh yeah. And one thing I remember talking to the doctor, because I was hesitant about that, because you know, you just start hitting and stuff, and he explained to me, he was like, the collarbone that you broke is actually going to be stronger than your other collarbone because of the calcium buildup that happens, and it just kind of fuses together and actually becomes stronger. So that gave me like peace of mind, where I was like, okay,
nice.
I'll be okay.
It's almost like, damn, well, can't I just break the other side of it too and just be really strong? No, I'm kidding. So then you said when was that? That was Pee-wees?
Yeah, I was, I think probably like 12, maybe around 12-ish.
Okay. Yeah. So then you were pretty unscathed in a sense for a number of years. What was the next one for you? Very fortunate, you know, kind of growing up, no injuries, played a lot of different sports, but hockey was obviously my main focus. And then my draft year, we had an early morning workout my buddies invited me to go to, and I'm so competitive. And I'm going against my best buddy, and it's a sprinting drill. And we go to the right, and then I go to the left, and I cut, and I roll my ankle, break my foot, and that was my draft year. And so I had to play my whole draft year with a broken foot, because I rested it for about 3 or 4 weeks until like the doctor said, yeah, it's okay. And thankfully the hockey skate is kind of like a cast or a really strong boot. So I was able to play with it my draft year, but like I would tweak it all the time, and it was brutal. And by your draft year, that's like senior year of high school?
Yeah, that was senior year. I played at Holy Angels, and I mean, I was, you know, pretty highly touted, like kind of top 2 rounds, and, you know, unfortunately I dropped to like the 4th round, but got to go to Vancouver and still got drafted. So
pretty good excuse for, you know, freaking broken ankle over here.
Yeah, it was, but that was like my first kind of real setback in the sport of hockey, where I'm like, you know, a lot of it, I had to go through a lot of kind of pain, and it was a tough year and dealing with kind of tweaks and stuff. But I think that helped me a lot, just kind of realize that I can go through a lot of issues.
For sure. I would imagine that would you'd gain a lot of resilience from that. Outside of the physical pain on the ankle, and, you know, just it preventing you from being at the top of your game. Did that affect you mentally when you were going into games.
Yeah, it did a lot. I remember there would be certain games where I would, just hit a rut in the ice or something. I would just get a stinger in my foot. And it was like, it just kind of was always in the back of my mind. But thankfully, I had still had a really good year. Our team did really well, and, I had a lot of fun. But it was just definitely something for, like, the following years that was kind of in my mind. Like, man, that was a bummer. But looking back at it now, I'm like, I learned a lot about myself being able to go through something like that, and still, obviously I was fortunate enough to get drafted, and kind of battle through that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, so what was it like being drafted into the NHL?
Yeah, it was incredible. So I was fortunate enough. So usually you don't travel to the draft unless you're going to be like a first round pick.
Yep.
But my draft was actually in Minnesota.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So I had my family came, my parents, my agent. So I went for the first round is Friday night, and then Saturday night is when I heard my name picked. And honestly, I got drafted by Vancouver 101st overall, and I like blacked out when they said my name. I didn't even know who drafted me, like, until I got down to the thing, and then like you meet the GM, and I saw it on like their name tag. It was like Vancouver Canucks, and I'm like, oh, holy smokes, okay, I got drafted by Vancouver. I didn't even know. But yeah, it was really special.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So then you get drafted. You go through. You're in the NHL. You're drafted at 18, right?
Yeah. You have like there's like a window between 18, 19 that you can get drafted, but like usually you get drafted your 18-year-old year. That's
nice.
That's what you're hoping for. So my draft class was 2011.
Cool.
Yeah.
So then you go to camp, or you have the whole off season or the summer, just probably being jacked and super excited about it.
Oh yeah.
You're probably feeling good the whole summer through.
Yeah.
And so what was it like, when you make it up to the show and you're going through training camp and you're dealing with, players that have played for, 5-10 years, and here you are. Yeah. This, I wouldn't call you a little rookie. Yeah. But, just, what's that experience like?
Yeah, it's, so when I got drafted, I decided to go the college route. So then I went to Wisconsin for 4 years. Okay. But I would go to development camps. Every summer, NHL teams hold their development camps for their prospects. So I would go to that, and it's kind of an experience where you do different types of testing, but also kind of get to know what the organization is like. And I remember we would do the physical testing, and they compare you to like an average NHLer. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was like, whoa, I have a ways to go. Like my testing scores and stuff, because, I was just underdeveloped and wasn't kind of a little bit of a late bloomer in terms of strength and stuff. So that was like pretty eye-opening. And then obviously played at Wisconsin, developed more. And then when I first turned pro is like, that's kind of where you learn, how to manage your time, the reality of how many good hockey players there are, and just how like the pyramid at the top gets smaller and smaller. So it was definitely a learning experience as I was going through Wisconsin. But then I feel like at Wisconsin I kind of learned how to be a pro and manage time and just kind of the highs and lows of sports, and so that prepared me for pro.
Yeah, in Wisconsin, they were a great program at the time you were there.
Yeah, my head coach was Mike Eves. We won the Big Ten and the WCHA, so got 2 rings. I didn't win national championship, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely pretty cool.
Yeah.
During your collegiate career, did you have any injuries or any setbacks? Mm-hmm. Whether it's just, all of a sudden not getting playing time or as much playing time as you wanted, or anything in the off season where you're in your head and you're like, oh shit, this is gonna jeopardize my road to the NHL.
Yeah. So thankfully I was pretty fortunate with injuries, just minor injuries here and there but I didn't miss any games, thankfully. But in terms of like my senior year, we lost. The class above me had about 12 people in it, really good class. So it was like my class was also like 11, but a couple of them turned pro and left. So my senior year, we actually ended up only winning 4 games.
Damn.
Yeah, and so it was the hardest year of hockey for me, just mentally. Like, honestly, when Vancouver was scouting me too, they had a hard time scouting me because like our team was so bad or like we just weren't winning games and stuff wasn't clicking, that they had a hard time like, should we sign this guy or not? And so that was very challenging. After the season, Vancouver signed me to a ATO, amateur tryout, and then I went to Utica, and the head coach in Utica's job was to evaluate me as a player, and like, hey, is this guy worth signing to an NHL deal? And so I got there and I played 2 games with them, and everything went really well, and I actually signed my entry-level deal.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, because he took a liking to me, thankfully. So, but that was like that was a tough year.
Yeah, that's I would imagine that's probably like the most mentally challenging part right there is, you have some success in college, and then all of a sudden your team just goes to the tanker, and if you're not doing well, scouts are probably like, oh wow, like this, there's nothing good happening here. Yeah. So I could imagine that being really tough, mentally. Did you guys? Was there anybody around specifically that was designed to help on the mental side of things? During that time. Yeah,
there was we had a team kind of psychologist that would you could meet with or whatever, and then I had kind of an advisor that I grew up kind of working with from kind of the age of 14 till my mid-20s. He played in the NHL a long time, so I would talk to him quite a bit, and he would say, as long as you focus on your game, do the right things are going to work out for you. And that's kind of what I focus on, because obviously hockey's a team sport. You can't, you're only able to do your job, which is just do your job and try to help the team as best as you can. So sometimes, teams get into ruts or just kind of just have a bad season. And so that's what I focused on, was just doing what I could to help the team, doing, what I could to improve my game every day, and just try to get a chance to turn pro.
Nice.
Yeah.
I commend you for that, because that'd be difficult. If you win a Big Ten, win the WCHA, and then 4 games.
Yeah, and then your senior year, where everything's looking up, you're the captain, you win 4 games, and it's like, man, it was tough.
So then you signed this contract with Vancouver. How old were you at that time?
I was 22.
22.
Yep. So I played at Holy Angels for high school, and then I went to Wisconsin as a true freshman.
Yep.
Played 4 years there, and then turned pro when I was 22. And then the following year, so I signed that ATO, played 2 games, and then go into the off season, and then my first training camp I was 22.
Sick.
Yeah.
So then, now you're in Vancouver. You're playing with all these veterans.
Yeah.
What was that like? That transition from, you're the elder statesman on the team, and then all of a sudden you have this type of pressure to live up to your contract, to live up to being a rookie.
Yeah.
What is that experience like?
Yeah, I remember my first training camp. The Sedins were the captains and assistant captains, and it was like, you're a little bit eye-struck, but you're also like, okay, they're just hockey players, they put the skates on just like me. And I think my first year pro, the first half was a learning experience. It's training camp went well, rookie camp went well, but then, I got sent to the minors, and it's kind of just, the pro game is so much different than college or anything, juniors. And so kind of just trying to learn that and figure out what my game is going to be in pro. How am I going to make a career and a living doing this? That was kind of the first half. And then things started to click kind of after Christmas. Got more playing time, earned more trust from the coach. And I think I finished with 20 points my rookie season, and probably 14 of those were in the last 20 games.
Damn.
So yeah, I kind of went on a heater, which was really good because it was good momentum going into the next season. But yeah, it was, first year was definitely, it's a learning experience.
And then, so, a little deviation from the pain side of the things.
Yeah.
Was it immediate that the Vancouver fans associated you with LaBate beer?
Yeah, I would get tweets at that and stuff, and people calling me LaBate, or when I actually finally got to Vancouver, they started calling me Blue, and so that was my nickname. They just the head coach would call me Blue, and I was like, okay, it sounds good. At least he knows my name. In some ways.
Yeah, when I played up in Canada, there was a bar on top of the rink where we practice at, and I was legal age to drink, which is wild because I couldn't drink back home.
Yeah.
And I was always a fan of LaBate, but I learned that they call it Blue up there, which is just cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So what a cool nickname.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So then, when how did your first couple of years go, and what was that like? And you got into some fights.
Yeah.
And when you're playing college hockey, you're not fighting anybody.
No.
So was there an intimidation factor when you got somebody trying to throw blows at your head while you're just trying to focus on, playing your role?
Yep. Yeah. I think when I first turned pro, I kind of, it's very eye-opening because you realize how many good hockey players there are. Everyone's coming from their previous team and they're the best player on that team. And so it's like you have to learn, what can I do to separate myself? What are things that I could do to add value to the team that maybe other guys aren't going to do?
Yeah.
I kind of learned how to play like a little bit of a gritty, physical style of play. And that comes with guys getting really mad at you and wanting to challenge you and stuff. And so kind of my first few years, I would, maybe throw a big hit or something and then get challenged or get jumped or, something like that, and then have to defend myself. And so that kind of grew, and I kind of learned more about the game, the physical style of the game, how you can create momentum with maybe a big hit, timely fight. And I kind of tried to add that into my game. It's just like another another arrow in my quiver.
Yeah, for sure. I've experienced firsthand if you lay a timely hit on somebody, you can change the momentum of the whole game.
Absolutely.
And with your size, you can control space a lot better than most skaters out there.
Yeah.
So that'd be a really cool development in your game to just learn how to just control that space even more.
Yeah, definitely. Growing up, I was kind of just like a pure skill guy in college too, and and then I think it's just a self-awareness thing of like, okay, if I want to really make it and make a career doing this, I'm going to have to do some dirty things and things that others maybe don't want to do. And that I just kind of tried to embrace that.
Yeah, not everybody on the team can score 40 goals, right?
No, and you need guys that block shots and do the hard things too. They make great livings doing that. So just kind of my mentality has always been like, what can I do to try to help the team as best as I can to win?
Nice. So did you ever come up with any injuries early in your professional career?
Yeah. I'd say my biggest injury I had was my second year pro. Or no, it was my third year pro. So obviously my rookie season went well, kind of finished really strong. And then my second training camp, I was actually last cut from camp.
Oh,
so that was tough. That was really hard, but you're young and you're like, okay, there's time. And I was able to be the first call-up for that season, and I got my NHL games, and that was really incredible. It was a huge year for me. And then the following year is kind of the same thing happened. I was last cut, and then going into the rest of that season, I actually developed a ton of different injuries, like a hip flexor strain, groin strain, just kind of a lot of things were happening. And never had that before, and it ended up being a torn labrum that was causing all these different injuries because my body wasn't like running properly. So I actually had to get my labrum fixed, and I had hip impingement, so I had that done, and that was a 7 to 8 month recovery.
You were feeling the pain on your left side. Was it the left labrum that was torn?
Yeah, it was my left hip, and what happens is it becomes unstable, and then it becomes symptomatic, starts aching, and then other parts of your body start kind of overcompensating, and that causes other injuries. Yeah. And so it's really frustrating as a hockey player because you're like, I want to battle through this, but your body's kind of just shutting down. And so I was able to see, this doctor in New York City. He's kind of called the hip god. And so I saw him, and he was like, man, I got an MRI with him, and he was like, you either are one of the dumbest people I've ever met, or you have an insane pain tolerance because your labrum's folded in half. And I was like, okay, well, I don't think I'm dumb. Yeah. I don't know about my pain tolerance, but like, let's fix it. So
I think you played your whole draft year with a broken ankle, so I think your pain tolerance is pretty high.
Yeah. So he did a great job on the surgery. I haven't had any issues with it, but that was a big setback for me. That was coming on a contract year too, which, a lot of things in sports is timing. And so having an injury like that while it's a contract year and you don't have that stability of a next year on your contract is tough. And, that was something I had to just kind of battle through. It was, yeah.
Yeah, so not only are you dealing with the physical nature of a completely torn labrum,
Yep.
The compensatory pain that you got with that, but now you got the mental side of it where you can't just confidently rehab and take the time to go through that process. Yep. I mean, you're racking your brain about, shit, what's gonna happen here?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. I had to learn how to walk again. Obviously had to learn how to skate again, like my stride and stuff. And I remember I was at my parents' house because I think I was like 24 at the time. And I remember there were some dark days because I was like, man, I hope that everything heals up properly. Am I doing everything the right way? Will I be able to play again? And thankfully I had a really good team around me, a lot of support, and, the PT, physical therapy, worked super well, and I was able to make a full recovery, and it's been uphill since.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I feel like it's time we got to throw a couple logs on this thing here and get it really fired up, and then we'll get into what I would deem like the coolest part of you and what you mean to not only young hockey players but young athletes out there striving to be the best they can be. So let's toss a little log on here and we'll be back shortly. This thing is pumping in here right now. We got some serious flame in that Kuma stove. And we're gonna be puddles in no time.
I'm leaking.
So as we get back to your story, we're kind of at the point now where you have this first surgery.
Yep.
And
first major setback.
And so what happens? Like that was your contract year. What does Vancouver decide to do?
Yep. So it was my contract year. I played my entry level, and then I signed another deal with them, and then that year was when I got injured. So then I'm going that summer, didn't have a contract, free agent, hoping that Vancouver would, sign me again. And the business side of it kind of came out, and, Vancouver decided to go a different direction. And so I was left without an NHL contract coming off of a major surgery. And I was fortunate enough to obviously, I wasn't able to sign an NHL deal, but I signed an AHL deal with Belleville Senators, Ottawa Senators organization. And so then that kind of was, obviously a big setback for me from, being in the NHL the year before to, being first cut out of camp to going on an AHL deal was obviously, humbling and just kind of a really big eye-opener for me.
Right. So then did that affect your game at all, would you say? Like, do you take a different approach? Is there this sadness that's there, or is there this edge that's there, or are you thinking about if I'm ever going to get back, like what's going to happen? Yeah,
I think for me as a person, instead of like feeling like sad for myself or pity or like I kind of took it as a huge challenge and kind of faced it head on, like, okay, I'm going to show these people I'm an NHL caliber player.
Yeah.
And so I kind of took that approach. And during that whole journey of the rehab and the PT getting ready for that upcoming season with, Belleville, kind of made a choice to myself of like, hey, hockey is so finite. Like, I just had this major injury. There's a chance that, obviously I was able to make a full recovery, but, injuries happen. And so I kind of took that moment to, I made a choice and a promise to myself that I would read 10 books every hockey season. And that kind of honestly led me down the path of, learning more about myself, learning what I could do in terms of like wellness, psychology, learning how to battle through the ups and downs of pro sports and kind of, dealing with the pain that I was in.
I mean, I commend you for, taking that step, just deciding to maybe step out of your routine a little bit and start providing yourself with knowledge that, probably tweaked your mindset a little bit and how you approach the game. So that's pretty badass. Did you have a favorite book in all that time that you read?
Oh man, that is a great question. Relentless by Tim Grover. It's about MJ, and Tim Grover was Michael Jordan's trainer, and he also worked with Kobe, and talking about their mindsets and just like how ruthless they were as competitors and stuff was a good book.
I bet that I need to read that. Yeah. That sounds good.
Oh yeah.
So then, how old were you when you signed this AHL deal?
Yeah, I was 25. So.
Okay, so you're 25.
Yeah, mid-20s.
And from that point on, what are the next few seasons like as you're growing your hockey career?
Yeah, I mean, having really good seasons, obviously growing my game and just continuing to learn about, what I have to do to be successful on the ice. I had a really good coach in Belleville named Troy Mann that helped me a lot. You say it kept grinding, but honestly, I did. Obviously training and learning more about, what it takes at this level to be successful and how I can make, a long career out of it.
Yeah, nice. So then, did you have this mindset still where you're chasing the NHL? Or are you settling into the mindset where it's like, all right, I'm just going to keep playing and making money as a professional hockey player?
No, I never once got into the, I'm collecting a paycheck as a pro hockey player. It's my mindset was always like, I want to get back to the NHL. I want to, I know I can play at that level. I can be successful at that level. And just that was my driving, motivating factor.
Hell yeah. I think that's super important. You got to believe in yourself. 100%. And you got to tell yourself that, no, I know who I am.
Yep.
And I know what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
From that point on, you're still going in AHL deals.
Yep.
Is there anybody that, what are people saying to you outside of, you just believing in yourself?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I had, obviously I've had a really good support system with my family, and, now my fiance, I met her when I was 27, and, I was on American League deals and kind of grinding, and she's been, a huge support system for me, and encouragement and providing, confidence and just seeing what I'm capable of, and being that voice of reason, as well as my family. But, her and I together have really, helped each other a lot. So that was like a huge thing in terms of just having someone in your corner every day,
cool.
To lean on during the ups and downs of, pro sports.
Very cool. Very cool. So then you're going through the AHL, and I know you ended up playing over in Kazakhstan. So it's tell me about that transition from playing in the States your whole entire life to all of a sudden being on the other side of the world, playing in flashy arenas, but a total different league.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, we absolutely loved our time in Kazakhstan and playing in the KHL. It was a decision that we made together as a way to kind of revamp and jumpstart my career. I was doing, trying to do things and trying to get back on the NHL deal, and it just, it wasn't happening. So I was, we made the decision that, we should change something, and it was good. The KHL is such a good league for offense and creativity and just a revamp of your career. And so we went over there, and I was able to be the first line center, play 20 minutes a night, and it was a huge confidence boost for me.
So throughout this, you've got a great support system, your family, your fiance. Mm-hmm. Did you have who's your representation to with hockey, and what type of role did they play for you to either continue to motivate you or to just get you to settle into some sort of mindset where you can either stay positive or even just something to try to persevere from?
Yeah, my agents at the time, I'd been working with them for quite a few years. They actually kind of told me that me and my fiance were going on a hike, and we were super excited on a Saturday morning, and my agents texted me and a long text basically telling me, the writing's on the wall. Your NHL dreams are probably not going to come to fruition. I think, you just need to come to terms with that. And, when I got that text, I got really emotional, started crying, and, Clara was there, and she's like, don't let them tell you, what your ceiling is or what type of player you are or what your limits are. Also in that text, they told me I wouldn't be able to play in the KHL. And so, that was in about July during kind of free agent signing day, and a week later I got a KHL offer, and we were like, okay, we're taking this offer. They said we wouldn't be able to get there, get into that league, and we did. And I went there and just embraced the culture, and it was incredible.
So now you're saying you're playing over there and you're a top line center. I mean, that's got to be a pretty solid confidence boost to your game, to be appreciated like that, to be looked up to by your teammates.
Yeah.
And what was the teammate experience like? What was the fan experience like? What was your routine to take care of yourself, body and mind?
Yeah.
And also, did you experience any injuries out there?
Yeah. It was incredible. So in Kazakhstan, we had about 9 imports, and an import is any player that's not from Russia, Belarus, or Kazakhstan. And so we had about 9 Canadians and U.S. guys, and we just had a really tight-knit community in those guys, as well as the other Kazakhstan players. And the fans were incredible. They have flags. They don't sit the entire game. They're cheering. Just absolutely love it, because Kazakhstan, there's only one hockey team in the entire country.
Okay.
And so it's Sauna, and they just love them. So it was a really cool experience, just being able to play in front of crowds like that and travel to these big time KHL rinks.
Yeah.
Very similar to the NHL and the size of them and the fan base and stuff. So that was really cool. But I did have a pretty crazy injury. My fiance went home during Christmas time, and I stayed in Kazakhstan, obviously, because of the season. And I took a weird hit. I hit a guy, and I hit the side of the boards, the corner of the boards. Oof. And it turned out I fractured one of my ribs, one of my bottom ribs. And instant pain, couldn't really breathe. The days followed, I couldn't really sleep. And I was like, they gave me about a week and a half off, and I got imaging done and also sent it to a doctor back home.
Yeah.
And it was confirmed, hey, your ribs shattered. And, okay, that's bad. So I show up to the rink one day, and the owner and the head coach calls me into the office, and all the doctors are in there, all the coaching staff, the owner, and they're having a discussion about why am I not playing? We need Joseph to play.
Yeah.
And it's all in Russian, but there's a translator, and he's only translating some of the words because, maybe some of the stuff wasn't the best. Maybe they're saying that, maybe I'm faking it, or
right.
He could be playing through this. So I'm like, okay, this meeting is insane. I tell the translator, hey, I need to talk to my agent, and then we'll figure out a solution.
Yeah.
Of terms of when I can come back and play.
Yeah.
So I go and call my agent, walk back in the locker room, head coach, GM, doctors come up to me, and they say, Joseph, what if we have surgery to remove shattered rib, sew you up, and then you play? So no more, you don't have the rib, but also no more fracture, and you can play. And I was like, well, that kind of makes sense, but also I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I leave the meeting. I'm like, hey, I don't feel comfortable with that, but let's talk. I don't know. We'll see. Call my fiance and tell her what they said, and she's like, Joseph, you're absolutely not removing your rib surgically. What are you talking about? You need that rib. It'll heal. Just give it time. And I'm like, okay, the voice of reason, she's, okay. I've been kind of around this, and obviously I'm a hockey player. That's my career. I want to play. So they were, we talked about that and worked through with the owners and the doctors, and we came up with a plan. So they let me heal it for another 2 weeks, and got to the point where I was able to finish the year with a shattered rib and kind of just grinded through the pain.
Wow. Yeah, there's that tolerance level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn, going all the way back to your ankle in your draft season. So then, you play that year. You're playing for Berries, and have a good season.
Yep.
And then, go into the off season, which was, last off season in a sense. What are you doing at that time? What's the next step? Are you going back to Kazakhstan, or you're 31 at the time?
Yeah, 31. I mean, the goal, coming off a good season in the KHL, trying to, I'm like, okay, I could get an NHL deal. Let's see if that's possible. Wasn't able to get one, wasn't able to work it out. I had a KHL deal with another team, and then they ended up pulling it and signing a different guy, which again, the business of pro sports. So that was frustrating. I ended up being here until about beginning of October.
Wow.
And Columbus called And they called me and they said, hey, we have a ton of injuries in the NHL and the AHL level. Would you come here on a PTO? We have a great opportunity for you. Obviously, you came off a good, solid KHL last season. Would you come and play? And I'm like, okay, like I'll talk to my family, talk to my fiance, get off the phone, and I'm talking to my fiance Clara, and I'm like, I don't want to go. Like, it feels like a setback. It feels like a step back. And, again, the voice of reason, someone in your corner that's like, hey, this is a great opportunity. They're calling you. They're wanting you.
Yeah.
We decided, she packed the truck and was like, hey, we're going. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. And went there, and it was a great experience. The AHL coach there, Trent Vogelhuber, does an incredible job. And, he put me in situations to succeed, and I was able to, go a point a game in the first 5 games. So it's it's pretty incredible.
Thus begins the process of one of the most iconic stories in NHL history, because you broke the NHL record for days in between NHL appearances, and eventually got called up by Columbus.
Yep.
And you played in an NHL game.
Yeah.
In a series of them,
right?
Played
in a series of them, and I also got to play in the outdoor game.
Hell yes.
Which was at Ohio State against the Detroit Red Wings, and it was just incredible.
I think that's so amazing, because you played, 8 seasons in between NHL appearances.
Yep.
So the trials and tribulations that you're dealing with physically and mentally would likely prevent somebody from achieving that. In matter of fact, it prevented every other player from achieving that, except for Joseph LaBate.
Yeah.
So, I commend you through and through.
Thanks, man.
And where are you at now?
Yeah, so I signed an NHL deal with Vancouver. I leave for camp actually tomorrow.
Hell yes.
Yeah, going there a week early to starting the early skates and then get ready for camp on the 17th. Yeah, man. Just also leaning back on when I got called up. After those first 5 games, I went a point a game. I actually had a really bad injury that happened, and I got a grade 3 AC separation in my left shoulder, which you can probably see the bump.
See it, yeah.
And another setback that could have derailed me, but again, really good support system around me. Came up with a solution with the team, and also just with myself and my team around me. And they told me 6 to 8 weeks, but I was able to come back in 3.5. Did a lot of wellness. Did oxygen chamber 2 hours a day, and I think that really helped with the healing. And
amazing.
I was able to come back and play, and then earn that call up.
Hell yeah. Oh man, and now you're going back to the show.
Yeah, man. Yep.
So I want to get into this a little bit more, but we got this thing so piping hot, and we are just a couple puddles over here.
Oh yeah, man.
Let's shift this conversation over to the cold plunge. Perfect. We got a few more just highlights to touch on. Joseph LaBate, everybody, right? Let's go get cold. Some contrast therapy.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be nice. As you can probably tell, we're at a different location. Jumping in Lake Minnetonka has been nice these past few episodes, but really hasn't been contrasty. So we set up this little tub here. We got some ice in there. We've been cooling it down throughout the entire duration of our episode. So it's gonna feel good.
Oh yeah, man.
And I'm gonna let you do the honors, Joseph.
Okay, I'll break it in.
This is like the wellness version of fat guy in a little coat, because you're 6'5"?
Yep.
6'5" going into this tub here. Oh, but you fit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. How are you feeling?
Good. This feels amazing.
Oh. When's the last time you were in a cold plunge?
Oh, probably last week.
Yeah. Nice. Is it a regular routine of yours
Yeah.
to make that happen?
Yeah, I love cold plunging, especially after a sauna.
Yeah.
Gets the heart rate down, calms the body.
Do you have any unique stories while you're over in Russia, like Vanya style, or like whatever they do that might be a little out of American tradition?
Yeah, they love saunas, and I experienced a banya out there, and it's like a total ceremonial experience. They have you in the sauna, they're fanning you, they're using these eucalyptus leaves, and so you lay down on the sauna on the bench, and they slap you with these eucalyptus leaves with ice cold water, and it's like the craziest experience I've ever had. And
nice.
It's like a total neurological reset, and after I felt like a new person.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was
That's
incredible.
Cool.
They love wellness over there.
Minnesota in particular is just really taking a hold on the practice of sauna and contrast therapy as a whole, because it is so beneficial.
Oh yeah.
So you're hearing it from a professional athlete over here that this is a good practice. It's not just crazy random people trying to feel good. It's a routine to improve yourself and
absolutely
dial in the mind.
Yeah, not only physically but also mentally. You know, getting yourself to do, you know, something challenging like getting in an ice bath is, you know, builds perseverance, which is really good.
Heck yeah. I like it.
It's good. Really good.
I'm excited. I'm excited to get in there. This is gonna be nice because it was piping hot in there. Oh yeah. Let's go.
I actually like how small, you feel like you're in a little nook.
It is kind of nice. It looks real cozy in here. Might terrify some people, but I'm cozy.
Well, I don't know. What do you think? Frozen lake or little tub? Was
I don't know. I mean, the element of a frozen lake and going into a hole, it's pretty next level. Yeah, no, this thing has been getting cold for, oh man, a good hour. Still has ice in here, so I mean, got to be in like the 33 to 35 degrees. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say
about
so.
that?
Yeah.
Yes. We're going to continue to evolve our cold plunge experience over the course of Get Sweaty with Leddy, so I'm happy to finally introduce a new visual for you, new location. So yeah, exciting stuff. I wish I could kind of dunk my head in here, but it's like a little awkward.
Yeah.
About as good as you can do. I always try to keep my back off of the thing a little bit so I have cold water surrounding my whole entire body. So if you're in one of these things at home or whatever, don't lean up against the back. That's just gonna not be as cold. So maybe like use your elbows to prop yourself off a little bit. Let the water be completely surrounding you so you're getting that full cold plungy contrast therapy.
If you also move while you're in it, it keeps the water circulating and it keeps it cold because your body actually warms the water that's around you. So if you keep it moving, or if you're in a tub that circulates water, it's gonna feel colder too.
Yeah. That's why it was nice that back channel, we're on the channel, because you kind of have that moving water a little bit with just the condensed channel area. So it's almost like moving water, but not quite. So I'm glad you shared that tip. So if you're at home, get a little jet going, move the body a little bit, and really experience that contrast therapy. I'm about ready to experience that extreme heat. You ready to go back in and finish this thing off?
Let's do it.
All right. Yes.
That felt really good.
All right, let's do it. Man, I forgot how good that cold plunge feels. It's been a while for me. So, as you know, you said you did it last week.
Yeah.
So, you know, like what other wellness practices have you been doing this off season to, you know, get yourself in the position to re-enter, you know, the NHL?
Yeah, I mean, sauna, cold plunge, I'm a huge fan of. Cryotherapy, different wellness things like red light, all that stuff, just to prime your body and kind of make sure that your body's feeling as good as possible and healing in the off season. I think as I've gotten older, you know, I'm starting to think about longevity and also just maintaining, you know, my performance as long as I can. I think, you know, you kind of touched on it. My trajectory is kind of moving up right now. And, you know, as I get into my 30s, sometimes that's not the case. And so I think that's wellness and just taking care of my body and learning about, you know, how I can improve performance-wise or recovery-wise has really benefited.
Nice. Well, it's kind of like, you know, going back to being a young athlete where you're not just playing hockey, you're playing all these other sports, gaining transferable skills to, you know, make you a better athlete. And you're not taking that one track mind approach as a hockey player now. Now you're combining all these other things that are giving you different kinds of benefits that are adding up to the complete player you know that you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the more you get into wellness, the more, like, you know, you're learning about it. You also meet new people and get like-minded people around you, and then you get, you know, introduced to different experiences that you're able to try and that will benefit you. And so I've done you know, neurological chiropractors, or, you know, Bob Cooley, the stretch god. You introduced me to him, and so I've had those experiences this summer that my body's just really responded to really well. So I'm really excited. I've never felt better, so I'm excited for this upcoming year.
Man, so you always imagine you're just chomping at the bit to get on that flight tomorrow,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, man, I can't wait. I get to a point where, you know, it just you work so hard during the off season and prepare, and I'm just ready to go. You know, it's I've never felt more ready for a hockey season, and so that's just it's just an awesome feeling.
Do you have a message to the countless athletes out there? You know, whether, you know, they had a setback in their collegiate career and they transferred schools, or they did have a taste of the pros, whether it's hockey, baseball, basketball, you know, soccer, football, whatever, and they may have settled into that mind state where it's like, you know, I was, and now I am, and never will be, but I can be. Like,
yeah.
What kind of message, like, what was your experience like when you went through this re-emergence again?
Yeah, I mean, I think the number one thing is just to keep going. You know, it's do things every day that prepare you and create an environment where you can keep succeeding. One of the things I like to do is manifestation, or manifest, journal, talk about that stuff in my journal. And it's funny because that creates habits, and the habits create success, and you get momentum, and you just kind of keep going. And yeah, man, I'd say I'd encourage, you know, whatever people say or discourage or encourage you, just to believe in yourself and keep going. Because, you know, your mind is so powerful, and what you can do is pretty incredible.
You've had so many highlights in your careers, you know, big games, big goals, but, you know, essentially like the big call too, you know, like you're 32 years old, and what was it like to just, you know, when you had that moment where you're like, oh my God, like I'm going back
to the NHL. Yeah, man, I remember exactly where I was. I was in my car, and, you know, the GM called me and was like, hey, we're calling you up. And, I was just freaked out. It was so excited. Culmination of 8 years of work since I've, you know, been in the NHL, and
8 years.
Yeah, a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and got very emotional. You know, I cried, called my fiance, called my parents, my family, and you know, just really embraced that moment. And it was I could not be more excited to get that call, and what that meant.
That's cool. I mean, you had a call where, you know, you were told that you're not going to make it back, and you cried. Now you have a call that you're coming back.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that just goes to show, like, the importance of, you know, vulnerability as a human as well, to not just be, you know, stone-faced throughout this whole thing, and to take it for what it's worth. And I really commend you for, you know, starting to read those books, starting to add all those other elements into your life. So, you know, like these young athletes out there, old athletes,
100%,
anybody,
man.
You know, start to diversify your wellness portfolio, and maybe you'll be the next professional sports record breaker, like the man sitting next to you right now.
Yeah,
so,
thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Well, Joseph, I know you got a few things to take care of before you hop on this flight tomorrow. So it has been an absolute pleasure getting completely sweaty and puddly with you here.
Yeah, man.
And best of luck going forward. I need all of you to find Joseph LaBate online. Continue to follow this story. It's an NHL record story, and the story continues.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. It was a pleasure to be honest.
Right on. Cheers.
Thanks, Steve.